We talk about, the highs and lows and the temperament, and we don't know each other that well. I never really saw your highs, and I never saw your lows. I never saw your angers or frustration.
Yeah.
You would hear things about you being angry about this or frustrated with that.
Yeah.
How were you with that in truth about, there was a moment in 2012 post-race Talladega.
Dale called it bloodthirsty.
I got out of the car and said the sport was bloodthirsty. We had a big crash on the last lap, and I said something. The rumor gets back to me that personally pissed you off. And so I guess, not the answer to that, but like, were there moments when you had a hard time not taking something personally? If Denny complains about the product on the track, and gets a fine behind, an under the table penalty or something, we all would just assume, okay, well, that must have made Brian mad, and he decided to make a decision on his own to penalize this driver, right? Were there moments when you had a hard time not letting it get personal, because there was some volatility, there was some moments that were volatile. There was a lot of, in 08, 09, 2010, drivers started talking more. We all started complaining more, louder, more publicly.
Social media became a thing.
Fans,
Right.
Fans are now chiming into those conversations. You could see the fan and the driver steer the fan steer the driver. All this stuff became a bigger challenge for you,
Yeah. Well, look, the answer is, of course, I got pissed. Yeah, sure I did, and it is personal. It's my profession. It's what we do, and it affects it. So, and it affects other people. So, I had some reaction to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I used to say, now, I always put the restaurant analogy out there, that you can't own a restaurant and go out on the sidewalk and say, hey, food's terrible inside, but we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Love to have you. It doesn't work that way. And
Got a point.
Yeah.
but I also realize that drivers have other issues. They're not going to be quiet about safety. That's for sure. They're not going to be quiet if they think there's a performance thing that they're getting the short end on. So there can be a fine line about, well, they're not really calling my food terrible. Well, that time they did. So then I'm going to get pissed.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, people will try to calm me down. Well, I think that was right out of an accident, And Mike was good about that. Mike would be the calming factor in a lot of that stuff.
That's what I heard about that particular incident at Talladega, was that when I said that to the broadcast, you got really pissed off, and we're like, I want to send a message to Dale not to say that again. And Mike said, maybe we don't do it this time, because I think Mike was privy to some injuries that I'd suffered in the crash or whatever. But
well, hold on. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So when Dale called the sport bloodthirsty after the Talladega crash, do you remember your specific reaction to that and when it was?
Well, it wasn't just him. I mean, we had a bunch of people getting out, screaming and yelling, and never going back to Talladega. All of that stuff. And we own Talladega, so we're like, hold on a minute. And they're telling me never to go back, not even to come back and try our restaurant. They want us to walk by and close the doors. And, look, it just goes with the territory too. And if you're me, all I'm trying to do is get people to think and do what I need you to do. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm trying. As the CEO of the company, I'm just trying to get individuals to say the right thing at the right time. Yeah. And that's not going to happen in a big organization like NASCAR.
yeah.
And by the way, it shouldn't, because people, it doesn't work that way. But generally speaking, I just want, if you're going to complain about it, try to do it in a way that doesn't burn the house down. And sometimes that wouldn't always get done right. And so I'm going to have a reaction to that.
Yeah.
Can I ask, how long would it take, and let's just keep using that as an example because it's fun for me, to use Dale as an example here, but how long would it take you to typically get over or get past that? Or did you get past it?
Well, some people I didn't. And yeah, no, I didn't. Look, it was personalities, and people didn't like me for different reasons. We didn't jive. Or, you and I didn't really talk that much. I always had a lot of respect for you, but we didn't. You had a better relationship with Mike, which was great. With some of the other drivers, we just didn't agree on things, and then it can get personal.
Sure.
I'm not trying to make it personal, because all I want you to do is to get you to a place to help us grow the thing. That's all I want you to do.
Yeah.
And I want you to make a lot of money. I want you to have a great experience. I want you to have if you're talented, I want to see you go up to the moon. And matter of fact, with most drivers, I would have been the other way around. I would have been pushing them to show more emotion. Okay, we're talking about criticizing the sport or something like that. That's one thing, but most of the time, I'm on a campaign to bring out Jimmy Johnson's personality or bring out whatever it is because all I'm trying to do is grow the sport to more people at further distances. So however you can help me do that, I'm just trying to get you to do that. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Every day.
You mentioned mistakes. Would you say that the car of tomorrow was one of those? Or what when you talk about mistakes that were made, what are some of the things that you think you could have done better or would like to have seen done differently?
The way we did the car of tomorrow was a mistake, because the reason we did it was the right reason. It was
Sure.
right off of all of including your tragedy with your dad, but it came off of all that. So that's why we primarily did it, and it was to be innovative in a safety, good, smart way. But we didn't get the collaboration with the teams that they did the last number of whatever cars are up to now.
Yeah.
And we were a little cavalier about that. We did a really good job getting safety collaborations, whether it's the Hans device, safer barriers, crush zones in cars, lots of inputs. We had the first safety summit in Indianapolis at the time, and a lot of great things continued. The R&D Center was born from that. All great things that continue to today. But in those process of doing that, we could have gotten more collaboration on that, and we paid a price for that.
Yeah. What do you think the price was? I mean, you're talking attendance, TV ratings, all those things?
Well, that one was, hey, the cars don't look good.
Yeah.
So my restaurant doesn't even look good. Forget the food.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk in and I'm not even going to like my seat. So I don't like what they've done. The cars can't keep me driven, so the racing's going to be bad. And you had a number of people saying that.
Yeah.
So that's a bad headwind for any sport. And going back to what I always say, I'm just trying to get you to not say that. I'm trying to get you to say something else, because that's not going to help us do what we need to do. And so, but that's the tricky part of the role, and Jim has got that now. Or whoever is sitting in that seat has that coming at them as they're going along.
Yeah.
Well, then when you go back and say that y'all got that wrong, or maybe whatever.
I got that. That was more me. You have to put that one on me.
Really?
What part did you get wrong specifically? Was it the fact that the drivers weren't on board, or was there some truth to what they were saying about the car?
No, my job would have been to lead the team at the R&D Center to make sure that the drivers have the right amount, and the team owners and everybody else has, that's why driver councils and many other things were born out of that. Do they have the right inputs? Because we were still going off of my dad, who was more of a, we're going this way, right?
Yeah.
And so we're changing into a different era. I'm now at the helm. We're coming off of big safety challenges that a lot of people didn't think we could overcome at the time. And we're doing all those things, and now we're going to put the most important thing forward, which is the car. Well, you better get a lot of inputs on that. Even though I always say we got to be directionally right. That's number one. And we were directionally right, But in this case, it required more inputs. We didn't get them, and that's on me. That's not on
And so the
group of people.
If you had handful of drivers in the room, they feel like they got involved in the development of this car, so they're going to go out and they won't all over it because they actually were part of the process.
Yeah.
And I agree with that in a sense, like trying to, anytime you're kind of going to try a new thing, a redesign of a racetrack, or come up with the format for an all-star race, you should include the drivers, maybe one of the most opinionated drivers, and allow him some influence. So when he can walk out on that media stage and tell everybody that he likes it, and then no other driver is going to step up to the podium and go, "This is bullshit," because none of them are going to say that to that driver's face, or in that the drivers won't go at each other in the media about their opinions of the race car, their opinions of the format. Once you get one driver on your side, you almost have all of them in a sense. And I feel like you're right about that in terms of like if you'd had I think if you had more collaboration on the COT, it would have probably looked physically different, but also the drivers and everybody would have felt like even if it did end poorly, they would have had some involvement and responsibility with that and might not have been so vocal about it negatively. Was you think?
I do, but again, what these are the risk things that you do. We didn't have to do a new car at the time. We weren't in a now. Safety would have told you that you probably need to do that, but we didn't have to reinvent it the way we fully did it.
Yeah.
But that's all part of taking risk, and we're not going to get everything just perfect. And it's also a fragmented industry, and it was then, and it is now. You still have a lot of independent stakeholders, and so getting the right amount of them at the right time, not too much where it slows the process down, but enough to get buy-in. That's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah.
None of it is as easy as it looks.